Welcome to More Than a Few Words, a marketing conversation for business owners. This is your host, Lorraine Ball, and I want to invite you to a party. Well, not the kind of party maybe that you're thinking, but today we're going to be talking about the party principle, how to use social, email, and text all together to create one party for your marketing. And to have that conversation, I've invited Dave Charest to join me. He's the Director of Small Business Success at Constant Contact, my favorite email marketing and online marketing platform. In this role, Dave acts as an educator and advocate for small business leaders and marketing professionals and nonprofits by providing practical marketing advice to help them achieve their goals. Dave, welcome to the show.
Lorraine, thank you so much. A pleasure to be here. I'm honored to be on the show with you.
Oh, I've really been looking forward to this because I love a good party.
Well, who doesn't, right?
Hopefully. Who doesn't? But talk to me about when you say that small business owners need to apply this party principle. What are you really talking about?
So what we're talking about here is this idea that really when you start thinking about the tools available to you, your goal is ultimately to, of course, you're trying from a marketing perspective, keep your business top of mind. But because a lot of that stuff happens on social, for example, and all of these different channels that you have available to you, your goal is really to think about moving people closer and closer to your business so you can have a stronger relationship and reach those customers directly. And so the party principle, and the reason I position it like this is typically what you would think of as, when we talk about the marketing funnel. But the reason I frame it in this idea of a party principle is because the funnel is kind of devoid of the important piece here, which is people. And when you think of a party, what happens when you go to a party? Well, you typically go to a party and there's a large group of people here. And that's kind of like social, right? Like everybody's out there doing their thing. And then you'll start to notice what starts to happen is as you go to this big party, you start to find the people that like, oh, hey, I know this person, or, oh, this person introduced you to this person. You start to find the people that you like, right? You start to find your people within that big party. This is similar to what happens on social as people start to follow you, right? You get connected, people engage with you, you find other people. And so that's that social piece, right? That's that big party. But again, our goal is to move people closer. And so what happens when you go to this party? Well, typically people start to leave, right? And then, the party gets smaller and smaller. And then you've got this group of people that kind of stick around for what we'd call the after party, right? So you found a group of people you still want to hang out with, right? You want to stay connected to. This is like the email aspect of it, right? So you're moving people off of social. You're moving people closer to you with email, which again, we know is really important because you own that channel. This is a way for you to contact people directly. And so email acts as kind of that after party. Now, things get really interesting when you start to think about, okay, now in that after party, you found these people that you have connected with more so than the regular group of people that were at the big party. But then maybe you're like, hey, what's anybody doing after this, right? And then you kind of head out and you go to this like after party, like that's like the VIP party, right? This is the smaller group of select people that have want to have more access with you and hang out with you longer. And that's like where the SMS and text channel come in. This is like that VIP party, right? Because then people have given you a way to buzz your phone and that buzz goes off and you look at your phone right away to see what that's coming from. And so that's how we really think about it. That big party is social media. Email is like that after party, and SMS and text is really that VIP party that gives you access to people in a different way, in a more immediate way. And so it's really about then thinking about how do you consistently have this path in place to move people from social to these own channels and then deepen those relationships with the amount of information that people give you so that you can start to lean into the strengths of each of these channels, right? So
okay, so I want to stop you here because I love this, but I have questions. And my first question is, I get the idea that you're moving, and I'm the kid that loves the after party and the after party, and totally I ain't going to bed at 9 o'clock. Okay, it's totally me. But my question is, how do you navigate that? How do you make that introduction to make sure that you're inviting people at the right time to move to that next?
Right.
To leave the big party and move to the smaller party or the after party.
Well, I think what you need to do is really think about making it part of your process regularly. And so what I mean by that is that means that on your social channels, whether that's in your, your link in your profiles, or you're actually introducing a post every once in a while that lets people know that there's another way that they can stay connected to you. And you've got to think, this is what I'm talking about when we start thinking about the strengths of each of these channels. You're thinking about, how do you use social in one way? How do you use email in another way? And then how do you even use text in a little bit different way, so that people have a reason to want to move and deepen that relationship with you? And so it's all about thinking about, everybody's going to be in a different timeline. Everybody that follows you on social is varying levels of like how they're connected to you and how much they know of you. And even as you're, connected to these other channels, that changes as well. And so it's really about just adding into the mix, right? Maybe once a month you're saying, oh, by the way, we've got this, email list that you can sign up for, giving people a specific reason. We often talk about this idea of offering something in exchange for the email address, right? That could be a promotion, a discount. People seem to love content that is related to your business. Maybe it's a checklist or a guide that helps them overcome something, right? Those are all things people exchange their email from. But I think it's all about thinking about, where are the places that you have interactions with people? Of course, this can happen offline too, right? When you're at an event, when people are in your store. And so it's really just taking that opportunity, because when you think about it, if somebody visits your website, somebody comes to your store, they're seeing you someplace, sure, you have that immediate interaction. But once they leave, if you don't
forgotten about you.
Right? Yeah. If you don't have a way to contact them, you're just waiting for them to magically show up again, right? But if you have a way to connect with them and influence whether or not they come with to see you again, that's going to be a better thing for your business in the long run.
Okay. And so then, and the downloads and the special offers, I used to call that web candy. I mean, this is going back back 20 years.
Much more fun than lead magnet, right? Which is what we often hear people say. Yeah, web candy. I like that.
Okay, so and that's really a reference to the grocery store. When you're in the checkout line, right as you're getting ready to leave, there's that candy bar.
Yeah.
And to me, that was always what the offer on your website was. If you got somebody to come to your website, wait, don't leave. I've got this candy bar.
Yep.
And so I understand the social to web to email conversion.
Yep.
How do you get people to make that next transition to the text? Because I think we're used to people asking us to sign up and give us their email, and we're starting to get inundated with a lot of texts.
Yeah.
So how do you really help someone make that next connection to get them to say, yeah, I want to hear from you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I think what it is really thinking about, I talk about this idea of the strengths of each of these channels, right? So if you start thinking about social, right, this is really an opportunity for you to do public actions, right? Do things in public that allow you to engage with people. And through those engagements, you reach a new audience, right? So that's how you're thinking about that. Email is, again, allowing you to reach that audience directly. You can start to build loyalty with people that way, and you can also start to drive sales. Now, when you think about the text element, the big challenge that I think people, or the mistake that people fall into, is doing the same thing on each of these channels. And so with text, you really want to think of the strength of that, which is the immediacy and the timeliness of how you can connect with somebody. And so you want to make sure there's some type of exclusivity involved in the text channel. So this is something people aren't going to get on social or in the email. You want to make sure the things that you're sending through that channel are also extremely timely and relevant to the people that are receiving it. And so if you can think through that way, then you've got something that has a uniqueness that harnesses the strength of that channel and gives somebody a reason to be connected to you there. Ultimately, we don't want somebody to say, well, I'm connected with you here. Why do I need to connect with you there? Just so you have another way to bug me? No, right? You want that to be, oh, this is cool because I'm going to get something I'm not getting someplace else.
In a way, that is exactly the same thing we were teaching, oh my God, 15, 20 years ago when social media first came out, and people were putting the same thing on Twitter that they were putting on Facebook, that they were putting on LinkedIn. And we were like, no, these are different communities. They want different information. And you really need to think about what you're sharing. So that same logic applies to this channel.
Absolutely. I think you can think of it like this. It's like you have a theme that you're trying to get across, or maybe a point or a topic or something like
Mhm.
that. And then you're leaning into the strengths of each of those channels. So an example I'll give you. So if we talk about SMS, for example, when Constant Contact was releasing that for the small business market, I was doing things on LinkedIn. This is the channel that I prefer, right? That's where I focus my efforts. LinkedIn, I was sharing a poll, right? Would you consider
Mhm.
using SMS for your business? Polls work really well on LinkedIn. In an email, we would send an email about SMS and a bunch of resources
Mhm.
that included articles as well as a webinar that people could register for to learn more about SMS for their small business. And then the text channel was used as a reminder for the people who registered for the event to actually attend the event, right? And so we're all talking about the same thing, but in very different ways
Mhm.
that, again, lead into those strengths of each of those channels so we can give people something a little different while also getting them thinking about the thing we want them thinking about.
Fantastic. Dave, this has been fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lorraine. It's been a pleasure.
I'm going to encourage everybody, if you are intrigued about building your party funnel or inviting your prospects to the party, then you really want to try Constant Contact. There'll be a link in the show notes. I got to tell you, I've been using the tool for 20 years. I've grown with it and I love it. Dave, thanks again.
Thanks, Lorraine, and thanks for being a customer as well. We appreciate you and a partner.
My pleasure. And if you're looking for other resources for your business, hop over to morethanafewwords.com. You'll find hundreds of episodes in our archive and pages of tools, tips, and more. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening.